Mina ngavuka ekuseni ngingekho disabled. In the afternoon I was disabled. Ngangineminyaka u-23. Ngangazelele. Number one, it's not something that I invited. So as a result, it was shocking.
I can imagine.
Shocking to me and shocking to my family as well.
Abantu bathesha ngendlela eziningi ezihlukahlukene ukuze balale bedlile. Abanye bafundile, abanye abafundile. Kodwa akekho ongcono kunomunye. Uhlelo Ithesho lami My Hustle lizovundulula inhlobo ezihlukene zamathesho. Sizwe kulabo abaziqhubayo ukuthi benza kanjani. Through this show, we want to expose the youth yaseMzansi to a variety yemisebenzi khona bezokwazi ukwenza wise career choices besabancane. Nawe makukhona ihustle ofuna siyiveze, sibhalele ku@gabisatv@gmail.com. Leli Ithesho lami My Hustle.
Ithesho lami.
Danko, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel Gabisa TV. Washa. Izake bahustlers yazini namhlanje uhlelo lanamhlanje lithe ukuhlukahluka ngoba we are commemorating i-Disability Awareness Month with ingqalabutho baba Musa Zulu. Story salomjida abafethu siyangichaza ngoba at the age of 23 ngo-1995 la impilo yakhe isaqala khona ne-career yakhe wavele wangena kwi-car accident wahlala kwi-wheelchair. Lalela wakwazi kodwa ukuthi quickly overcome leyo disability wayishintsha impilo yakhe. Manje ngikhuluma nawe nje uyi-author, uyi-motivational speaker, uyi-artist abese business coach. Hayi lalela kuyona into serious leyo. Asike simbambeke namhlanje ekhaya lakhe emzomuhle. Uhlelo Ithesho lami My Hustle igama Gabisa Khuluse. Yizo. On our shoot day, Undabezitha was invited to speak at the upcoming authors workshop organized by Msunduzi Municipality in PMB. Our first interview about how we grew up took place on the highway. Mntwana ubani uMusa Zulu ukhulele ekhaya elinjani unawo ama siblings umano baba wazalelwa lapho ukhulela
Mfowethu mina ngizalwe ngo-1971 kwaCeza Mission Hospital la obaba ahlangana khona nomama. Obaba esebenza as i-radiographer umama unesi.
I-radiographer ngale yaminyaka 52 years ago.
Exactly.
Shuthi uphume ekhaya lama high caliber achievers that some people would say.
Mfowethu I would say so. Abazali bami bazame ngayo indlela ukuthi basinikeze imfundo ngendlela okuyiyona. Ukhumbule futhi ukuthi umuntu ube nenhlanhla ukukhula ngalesi sikhathi sobandlululo. Abazali besafisa ngempela ukuthi kube ingane okuyiyona ezokwazi ukuthi bakhulule kulamabhande obandlululo esasibhekene nayo. But the beautiful thing about it is I grew up in a family where we were given a proper education. Education that has now put us in good stead in terms of grappling with a democratic dispensation and all the opportunities that have come with the development globally. Kulula kumuntu njengami ukuthi noma kwenzeka noma yini empilweni uthi at least mina nginama qualifications ami engakwazi ukuthi nginamatele kuwona. It's also much easier for a person of my background ukuthi uhlale phansi and say vese ngakhula under a society eyayizabalazi makhona into engathi zama ukungikubaza. Let me go back to those qualities and see ukuthi ngenza kanjani ukuthi ngizikhulule. Kulula futhi uma ube nemfundo engiyinikezwe abazali bami neSouth Africa ukuthi even if I were to be disabled I can still lean back on my education and say I can still use it to access some opportunities and stretch myself the best way that I can.
Uthini la mntwana ubaba wakho professor ubhuti wakho yini ubhuti wakho yini accountant kwenzakalani lapha kini mntwana?
Kukhona udokotela kukhona i-website developer.
Yes.
Khona ama researchers lapha khona ama artists nama authors. I think 4 of us at home have already published incwadi. And njoba ngisho nje mfowethu it's not only a background, it's also a society esiphuma kuyona. South Africa is an interesting place ngoba with changes saba strong ukuthi sikwazi ukuthi sithi pull in different directions towards our self-empowerment. Makuthiwa hambo esikoleni uyofunda the best way that you can. At the same time futhi it's an opportunity to share. Uma ngabe abazali bakho sebekwazile ukuthi bakunikeze education how far do you take it to share it with other people with community? And finally, have you taken the very same principles wafundisa abantwana bakho ngoba uma abazali bami kade bethi hamba esikoleni mina how much of that have I said to my children ikakhulukazi ke bona abaphila empilweni less oppressive than mina i-background yami even worse with abazali bami
la usuyitshela khona ukuthi yazini impilo yami isiqalile mawungena kwi-car accident yashintsha impilo but kwafanele manje ukuthi nawe umqondo ukwazi ukuthi uthi awusitshele ngaleso simo sakwenzani senzani ekhaya
mfowethu ngangineminyaka u-23 ngangazelele number one it's not something that I invited so as a result it was shocking
I can imagine
shocking to me and shocking to my family as well I think I must have taken a very good 6 months of just sitting down and mourning kwakufanele ngangilahlekelwe okukhulu mfowethu awukwazi ukuthi ungathi kade uvuka ekuseni uhamba ngeenyawo ntambama usahamba awukwazi ukuthi ungathi una 23 ubona sengathi ngempela usuzoqaqeka uthola ukuthi sekwenzeka isimo esinjengalesi worse futhi ke abantu abakhubazekile sasingabazi nje ngoba babethathwa abafakwe laphayana so manje mawusuthola sengathi sengingaphansi kwale simo what does it mean for me and my future uyabona but amazingly ngithe uma bese ngilimele kwaba khona abanye abantu engihlangana nabo abahamba ngama-wheelchairs and abanye abanama-disabilities ahlukahlukene and waba yibona bokuqala bathe mfowethu kade sila thina siyaphila namhlanje so uma ucabanga wena ngempela ukuthi uzoyi-rejecta le mpilo still uzobe usaphila nakusasa why don't you rather listen to how far thina we have taken it to see ukuthi wena how far can you take it from us how much of it can you take from us ugijime nayo
when his accident happened landing him on a wheelchair 3 things got him back up family love mentorship and proper education
The beautiful thing about getting that type of education, particularly from my parents and family, is that it prepared me. There is nothing more important in life than preparedness. Because if you are prepared, even in an eventuality, you still can regain your balance. Let me make an example for you. I already had academic qualifications, a basic degree, honors in sociology. I'm a social scientist, if you want to call it that. Now, when a paralysis comes, even if I cannot walk, I can still research and write papers for journals and all of that. But you must also remember, when I was paralyzed in 1995, I was also now a qualified human resources practitioner because of my education. So even if I could not walk, I could still sit on this wheelchair and be a human resources manager.
Yabona istory sakho thina sisixoxa nje nomdlandla siyaginqika kodwa yazi ukuthi itopic sensitive abanye abantu abangakwazi ukuthi bakhulume ngayo asiyiniki isikhashana sithi kuyidigesta sibamba indlela yeMaritzburg sike sifike sizwe ukuthi uzofika umotivate uthini lapha ndaba ezini
ngizobahlephu mfowethu.
After this insightful interview session, sifike ngezinkane Pietermaritzburg for his motivational talk with upcoming authors.
So this is how my story begins. This is not a disability. This is actually an invitation towards a new identity. I decided that today I would like to talk to you about how storytelling allows us to create identities, and in the process allowing us to establish some relationships, and in many ways being a cornerstone of a culture, whether a culture that is already existing or a new culture altogether.
Incwadi zakhe seyisiza abantu abaningi, siza nabanye abayithola bekusimo esifana ngesakhe. Whether u-disabled noma u-abled, kuyafana, uyagaina ulwazi oluningi nje ngokuthi ufunde incwadi zikaMageba.
Amongst the audience were some of the people that he has inspired and propelled to do greater things in life.
I also had my own adversities growing up. I also have been somebody who suffers with depression, and I feel that his book was quite one of the biggest catalysts in helping me to gain that inspiration and to understand my condition and to rise out of it and be a better person. And today, I'm proud to say that I've also started my own organization. It's called Musa E, where basically I've taken it upon myself to be a mental health advocate.
He said, Miss Peters, I want to remind you that the world still needs you. And those words changed my life. So my first motivational talk was done with the shaky voice, and I said that maybe one day I'll become an author. A year and a half later, with Musa's help, I became an author.
I am now with Brenda George, who has a relationship spanning over 20 years with Musa Zulu. She has even edited his latest book. Tell us about your relationship with Musa.
He is the most wonderful, positive person I've ever come across. And as I said, I met him at his first book launch. And what I found was that you cannot feel sorry for somebody who doesn't feel sorry for themselves.
At the age of 23 and in possession of an honors degree in sociology, Musa was promoted to being the HR director at Tongat Mushrooms, where he was employed at the time. 10 months after his elevation, his life took a tragic turn when a car accident landed him on a wheelchair in 1995. Through mentorship and support from other disabled individuals and his never say die attitude, he quickly adapted to the new life and started his journey as an author. He released his first book, The Language of Me, in 2004.
That platform engikhuluma ngayo of education engayinikezwa abazali bami, which made me understand myself and also myself out in society. Iyona yenze kube lula ukuthi ngithi noma impilo yami ishintsha in times of change, that I can always realign myself back to balance.
Wathi mawusufike kulesimo kwakhona abantu abakumentorishayo. Now ikushuthi mentorship ngempela yadlala irole serious. Isiqala kanjani le yokuba i-author, i-artist, motivational speaker, business coach?
Ukhumbula into yodwa ukuthi uma uhlala nomuntu phansi ekumotivate usuke ekutshela istory esithize. And when you listen to this story, you think, wow, this is a beautiful story. And I wish this person had written it down for me. Ukuze ngithi uma ngihlezi phansi sengingedwa ngithi konje ngempela bekuthiwa angenze kanjani. So ilo ugqozi lokubhala liqale lapho. Uma abantu sebengimentorishile with their beautiful stories, and I was starting to create my own beautiful stories utable. Konje ngacabanga ukuthi lento mayibhalwe phansi inga-right as a message that umuntu can always take home. So ngase ngithi okay, ake ngihlale phansi, take all of these positive things that are happening ngoba ngangafuna ukubhala incwadi about the negative. At the end of the day, you have to think it in order to write it. And when you have written it, it's time to perform it. The motivational element comes there.
The language of me.
Yeah.
Incwadi yakho yokuqala.
Yes.
Kwenzakalani kule ncwadi uma ke bukusiphi state somqondo?
Simfowethu, the language of me kwakuyigiya lokuqala. Incwadi engayibhala ukuthi ngithi find a sense of identity emva kokuthi ngilimale engozini yemoto.
Yes.
The language of me yangithatha 7 years ukuyibhala ngoba ngangazi kahle igiya lokuqala ingakho kube sengathi lona liqaqeka lithi ukubalide ngoba you are still wanting to warm up. Uyabona? Finding your sense of identity when you experience is something that requires time.
Yeah.
Otherwise you are going to be writing ngento ongayazi.
In 2008, he released his second book titled Wheels on the Sole of My Shoes, which was followed by a book called Tributes the Story, where he collaborated with disabled female authors to honor and give them a voice. That book was followed by Mastering the Art of Self-Motivation, and lastly,
1.5 kilograms, 465 pages.
I Am Art.
I Am Art. I Am Art lena ikhuluma ngo 40 years wonke ngoba ngaqala ukudweba ngo1979. So in 2009 I was celebrating 40 years. That's why the book is called I Am Art, the 40th
Anniversary Essay.
And le ncwadi ifaka zonke lezi sengiyibhalile, not ukuthi zithathwe zafakwa njengoba zinjalo kodwa uyihumusha incwadi sengisho lezi extracts nokuthi futhi uzama ukuchaza ukuthi le ncwadi ngangiyibhala at what point in my life and where was it taking me to. I also am of a human resources development background.
Yeah.
So I'm a motivational talks is not talking about be strong, be what. But there are also certain principles of human resources development that come into these talks. For instance, Mastering the Art of Self-Motivation, Lengte is a motivational module in a form of a book.
Yeah.
Isetshenziswa kakhulu leyo ncwadi kulama corporate events engimenywa kuwona as a motivational speaker ngoba ngisuke ngizokhuluma nama-human resources.
Yes.
I-I'm art le, we are going to find ukuthi isikhathi esiningi izoduma kule zinto zo-art exhibition ngoba ngikhuluma nge-artistry la.
Yes.
I-language of me uzothola ukuthi isikhathi esiningi iqhamuka uma bekukhulunywa ngey'ndaba ze-disability.
Yes.
But it wheels on the sole of my shoes uzothola ukuthi strategic thinking ngoba the whole essence of the book was strategic thinking. With an education, you can open so many opportunities for yourself. I draw for a living, but because I'm educated, I can draw very educated pictures or artworks that can sit anywhere.
Dwebo wakho ngimnema ngiqhamuka ngivele ngibone ukuthi yabona-ke la uMusa Zulu lo.
Kukhona lento engayifunda ngisemncane ngoba ngiqale ukudweba ngineminyaka u-8. Kukhona this concept of signature kwi-art. What is signature? I-signature akuyona leno ibhala phansi. I-signature indlela odweba ngayo umuntu athi uma yibuka nje ntathi no, this is signature Musa E Zulu. So angikaze ngibe umuntu othanda ukwenza izinto ngendlela efanayo. Ngihlala ngifuna ukwenza izinto ngendlela yami. That's why I called my book The Language of Me. Even with my artistry, it's me in a form of this artwork. And if it's me in a form of this artwork, then i-artwork yonke yami ngiyenzayo kufanele ibonakale ukuthi i-artwork kaMusa. In the last couple of years, sengike ngaba nenhlanhla yokuthi even big corporates, Standard Bank, big organizations, IPM, kube yibona bathi sinama-awards Musa esizobe siwenza ngosuku oluthize. Asifuni ukunikeza abantu indondo. Sicela ukuthi uhlale phansi ufunde wonke lo muntu ozothola indondo bese udweba isithombe esikhuluma ngaye that reflects that particular person. Now imagine mfowethu uma uzohlala kuma-awards. An awards function by any definition is big.
Yes.
And uthola ukuthi wonke umuntu lapho unikezwe isithombe esidwetshwe uwena.
Yo, that's big.
But ukhumbule futhi ukuthi asidwebi thina kuphela ukushiya lapha nodongeni. Sibuye sidwebele zona iy'ncwadi lezi where you get a person athi hey Musa, nginencwadi engiyibhalayo la ngicela ukuthi ungidwebele icover. It means reading that whole book so that you can draw an artwork ezotshengisa ngempela ukuthi it summarizes
picture what the book is all about. Undabezitha has fought tooth and nail to create a more disability-friendly South Africa through some of his initiatives.
Ngathi ngihlezi nomngani wami uVusi Ndimeni ohamba nge-wheelchair. Savumelana ngento eyodwa ukuthi asisoze sakhuluma ngama-problems. We're always going to talk about solutions.
Yes.
Sathi ngelinye ilanga sifika kuxoxwa ngendaba yokuthi abantwana abakhubazekile abafinyelele university. Sakwenza our mission to make it a point that they do so. Sahlanganisa izibongo zethu zombili kwaphuma indime Zulu Trust le ekade ifunela abantwana abakhubazekile ama-bursaries ukuthi baye ema-universities.
Yes.
Sayenza lento ukuqala ngo-2006 saze sayiyeka ngo-2018. During that period, abantwana about 108 with disabilities had been given bursaries to go to university and college and better themselves. Same futhi nalana abantu bazothi abantu besifazana abakhubazekile benganakwa. Hayi ngoba benganakwa. Ithini singabazi. Qala tributes program lena kade ngithe sabhala nencwadi ngayo.
Yes.
Qala tributes program that identifies abantwana amakhosikazi noma abantu besifazane with disabilities that have done a lot of things in society to change it.
Yes.
And when you start focusing towards that direction, uthola isimanga ukuthi baningi labantu besifazane
ziningi futhi
nalezi zinto.
It's so pleasing to hear how this trailblazer has contributed to the well-being of the disabled. Well, it's time to head back to Durban, and he continues to share with us some of the progress made and the challenges still facing the disabled community.
Iqiniso mfowethu ukuthi kulo 30 years we-democracy kukhulu futhi kuningi uhulumeni aseke wazama ukuthi akwenze for a free movement yabantu abakhubazekile. Before 1994, ibhilidi belakhiwa nje. Ukuthi lelo bhilidi linetebhisi alina-lift belakhiwa nje ibhilidi kujike kuthiwe lapha Home Affairs. La kufika khona wonke umuntu, and wena as a person with a disability, you'll find ukuthi this Home Affairs has nothing to do with you because you can't even enter. Ama-ramps asekhona mfowethu and ama-lift mhlawumbe ubonile laphayana azahambisane ngisho nento nebhathini le-braille ukuze umuntu oblind akwazi ukuthi ayitofozele ngendlela okuyiyona. Amanye amabhilidi eSouth Africa asezahambe ngisho ne-voice recording ekutshelayo ukuthi ukuyiphi iflow ngasikhathi. Nangaphandle kwalokho uyazi ukuthi kuqala abantwana aba-blind bekuyinkinga kanjani ukubhekana nabo eSouth Africa. Especially because there were no services for blind people. uthola ukuthi akho ngisho nebraille or noma eyithola leyo braille esikoleni uma iseke waphuma waya go to wider society. Those things are not available. The same is with the sign language interpretation. I mean, can you imagine ukuthi eSouth Africa noma emhlabeni wonke jikelele in the past indaba beyifundwa zonke insuku and there was no icon ku TV to give sign language interpretation. Uma ucabanga ukuthi ngokwenza zonke lezo zinto South Africa is the first country in the whole world to have sign language as one of its official languages. So kuningi osekwenzekile.
Big up to Mzansi.
Kakhulu mfowethu futhi ngempela we can complain kodwa ezinye izinto ngempela sezenzekile. Bese kukhona ezinye izinto futhi osazofuna ke siyibheke kahle ngempela siyizwe nje. Ikakhulukazi abantu bamatekisi. Awukwazi ukuthi ungaba dominant public transport system in a society and you are not accessible at all. Alikho itekisi eSouth Africa that is accessible ukuthi ngakwazi ukuthi ngazi ukuthi mangifuna ukuya endaweni ethize at least khona ama-taxi awu-3 azokwazi ukuthi ngingene ne-wheelchair yami ngihamba ngeyikhathi eyithize. Bayakuzama lokho emabhasini but we all know ukuthi amabhasi awaphuma sabalale njengamatekisi. Bese kuba yinathi-ke nje as private citizens usuke wakucabanga yini ukuthi emzini wakho you could just have a friend or a disability or old age, in which case ramp kufanele kube khona. Khona ezinye izinto ngempela impilo esiphoqa ngokwama-cycles azo ukuthi masizenze sonke soguga tomorrow and are not going to be able to climb up the stairs.
To digest inkulumo kaMageba, let's take a small detour to check out some of the businesses that we've had the privilege to profile during this year's KZN Economic Development BEE Awards. Here we learn of the strides and the challenges faced by entrepreneurs living with disabilities.
Mina ngina company igama lawo Sinonzuzo Trading Pty Ltd odila nge-detergent. Detergent means into ezama product ocleaner njenga pine gel, dishwashing, jig. Company yami isebenzela la kwalatha iphinde ibe nama client ayo akhona njengekole netoro enkulu nama household. Ama challenges esibhekene nawo ikakhulukazi la nje sendaweni nasemakhaya nje kukhona ukuthi ngisebenzisa i-detergent idinga amanzi. Ayidinga amanzi lawa alekhaya nosawuthi adinga amanzi apurified. Amakwenza apurified ngiwathola edrobheni it's about from here 31 kilometers ukuthi ngawathola amanzi lawa ngathola eGreytown. Bawu4 abasebenze nginabo njengamanje.
Igama lami lenkampani yami inqanawe umkhumngane ongaziki ngoba kade ngaqala ukuzama nje ngibhidilisha ngale kampani le. Into egxile kakhona kakhulu igxile ekwenza i-leather craft mase kuzoba ngathini amakheni lento isebenzisa ikheni kwenza ama-tray mase kuzoba iplango nje nginestipeti sakhona kodwa futhi nakhona nginestipeti futhi se-leather craft yabo ngifundisa abantu abakhubazekile ngaphandle ukuthi ngibheke inzuzo kulokho yabo ngibatraine baningi sebekwazi ukuyimela ngokuthi batraine yimina kodwa-ke angitholi lutho-ke ngalokho futhi okuyigqaja ngakho mina ngisebenzisa isikhumba ngempela angisebenzisi uplastic mangisebenza ngendlela esengihlupheke kakhulu ngayo ngokuthi ngingenayo imishini yokuthunga ngisebenzisa izandla ngithuka manje kungithatha isikhathi eside mangisebenza ngathi mangithiwa ngathola imishini lana ngiyathemba ukuthi ngasheshe ukuthi umkhiqizo ngikhiphe umkhiqizo eminingi ngosuku olulodwa.
Igama lecompany Nyamahle Trading and Projects. We work from here in Nanda, Ep15 Ohlange. I always say that the business does anything about disability, you know. One of the services that the company does is it's accessible transportation for disabled people. We currently have clients with the private sector for now. People are doing learnerships at Umhlanga. That's one of our clients. We hire out equipment to cooperatives that does grass cutting who are contracted with the municipality. So we hire out equipment and a commercial vehicle to them. A lot of companies, sometimes they want to hire out disabled people, but they don't even know how to deal with the disability sector. So that's where we come in to come and advise and guide on how and what is important and what is especially around assistive devices. Now we currently have 4 people working. We are working full time.
Ngize lapha ke edolobheni ukuba ke ngizofeza ke isiphupho ngoba ilapha engithole nakhona ukuba ngikwazi ukudrive nokwenza ibusiness. Ibusiness lami ke inhlala ziyititinya. Thina sikhubazekile sihlale siyoba nje kodwa sigcine singaphumelelanga ndawo. Ngikwa construction. Ngakho imigwaqo ngakho izindlu ngigunda utshani bathi i-landscaping. Uma ngabe nikhipha imisebenzi, iy'nkampani mayikhipha umsebenzi, basinikeza usuku olulodwa noma iy'nsuku ey'mbili kuthiwa asenze i-paperwork. Ngisazohamba ngiye esitolo ngiyokwenza ilokhuzane izinto zakhona, ngibuye ngize lapha kimi isikhathi siyahamba ngoba ngisukeli phezulu. Angifani nanomuntu able njengoba ngi-disabled nje.
To create jobs, it is the role of the private sector. The government must create an environment.
Izisebenzi ebese ngasesehlezi phansi ngizozama ukuzibuyisa ngoba ngizo-eda kuthize engizokuthenga izisebenzi zami ngizibuyisa ebesehlezi phansi.
It's nice to see disabled business people walking away with sums of money to improve their businesses back at home. Siyabonga kwi-KZN provincial government. Sesihambe sabuya bafethu emzomuhle manje Mageba besicela ukwazi sisekhaya lakho manje la. Ifamily inesandla esingakanani ekukusizeni ukuthi ufike kwi true potential yakho.
That was the first thing mina that really mattered to me, was how my family received me, how they've always supported me all the way up until here. Ngithe kwa mina noma sengiyiqalela ifamily yami, I found a lot of support from my family in a form of receiving me uma ngibuya kule misebenzi engiyenzayo.
Yeah.
Loving me even noma izinto zingekho right la endlini. Fighting with me.
Entrepreneur igcine.
Uyayizwa into engisho ngoba uma abantu bekunikeza ishashalazi lo lethemba labo ngawe. It's then up to you when to say, let me reward them by showing the best of me.
Salute to people like Spesihle Mbambo who have dedicated their life to serve the disabled. This guy is now like an extended family member who assists Musa with his home maintenance and his personal needs.
Engikuthandayo ngoMr Zulu, umsebenzi wakhe ngiwukhonzele ngiyawuthanda. Okunye ke umuntu okwazi ukukhuluma nabantu ophinda bagqugquzele ngempilo ukuthi iye phambili. Mangiqala nje ukuhlangana noBabzulu ngimthola ukuthi ukulesima kusona ayakona ngathuka ngoba ngangakaze ngihlangane nomuntu okanje kuze futhi ngibe seduze kwakhe ngokomsebenzi. Kodwa kwahamba ngajwayela. Bathothi umuntu okhululekile, umuntu ongenankinga nje, ukusaba kwakho kwagcina kuphela. Into engiyifundile ngedisability ukuthi akufunakala ukuthi mawusunaleyo nkinga uyibukele phansi. Ngathi ungaqoqozela ukuthi phambili nempilo. Engikubone kuBabzulu kiloko.
Then abantu laba abangakhubazekile. I-behavior yabo towards abantu abakhubazekile kubaluleke kangakanani ukuthi bayishintshe bakwazi ukuba accommodate.
It's important for people in life to interact with disability. Why? Mina ngavuka ekseni ngingekho disabled. In the afternoon I was disabled, which means the disability can happen at any moment in time.
Any given time.
Now, your attitude towards disability prepares you for an eventuality, and it also prepares you for the inevitable.
Benginganovalo lokubasaba wena bafu. Ngase ngisondele eduze kwakheke ngathola ukukhuleka. Umuntu mfethu okade esesimene sikanje ayibengisaba ukusondela eduze kwakhe bafu. Yeah mfethu yini ngumuntu onamahloni engikufundile ngayo ukuthi abafethu asibasize singababukeli phansi.
Ingakho uma uhlonipha umuntu okhubazekile kuthi noma kwenzeka kuwena ukuthola sengathi kulula ukuthi ukubambe ngoba usuyazi ukuthi angacatshangelwa.
Yeah.
But uma kade ungamcabangeli uthi ukukhubazeka namhlanje kusasa ubutatazela sengathi abantu bazobe bengakuhoyi.
Manje mntwana kubantu aba-disabled nje sesivala uthini kubona?
Banenhlanhla esabusayo yokuhlala ezweni elifana neSouth Africa. Inhlanhla ke iyaye idinge ukuthi nawe uyireward ngandlela thize. And one of the ways zokubonga inhlanhla onayo ngokuthi kwawena kube khona inhlanhla ozoyibuyisela eSouth Africa. I guess the short and sweet of the answer that I'm trying to give to you is ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. The same is with people with disabilities. Ikakhulukazi futhi ngoba ngiyajabula ukuthi lamagama ngiwakhuluma ngoNovember, which is Disability Rights Awareness Month. It is your right to do something for your country. just as much as it's your right to demand your rights from your country.
Hayi ke angazi ngabe sisafunani. Ndaba ezithi sicela usikhiphe manje.
Igama lami uSiphesihle ngowakambambo ngizela ngokusiza ubaba Zulu. Leli Ithesho lami my hustle.
Igama uMusa E Zulu, all in capital letters. Ikuze emdwayidwa. Abatho odokotela bethi khubazekile yathi qhabo bongithatha umhlala phansi. Umbhali, umdwebi ngepensela, isoka lentombi. Leli Ithesho lami my hustle.
Mina ke i-Disability Awareness Month bafethu sengiyi-celebrate in style. Uyabona lo November nje inyanga ngeke ngisaphinde ngukhohle empilweni yami. Futhi mhlawumbe ngolandelayo kufanele senze more for people living with disabilities. Sibonge kakhulu ukuthi sibe nalendoda uMageba esinike a lot of insights sakwazi ukuthi singene empilweni yakhe. Siyabonga futhi nangokuzwa ukuthi iSouth African government yize mhlawumbe kungakafiki la ekufanele kufinyelele khona kodwa isezamile ukuthi iyenze i-platform conducive for abantu abaphila ne-disability and also labo abanamabhizinisi abaphila ne-disability. Siyabonga kakhulu sesicela indlela Ndaba ezithi.
Mfowethu, Kapesi ngiyabonga.
Uthe uzongivulela phela Ndaba ezithi.
Asiphephe kufanele.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Kapisa TV. Washa